Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jasmine. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my labor and delivery story and kind of go more into detail about my high-risk pregnancy and why it was considered high risk. So it's just me recording right now. Avery's actually asleep. So I'm kind of just going to go into detail about my high-risk pregnancy and explain it all to you guys. So let's get started. To start, I am first going to talk about why my pregnancy was considered high risk. I first found out when I was 27 weeks. I went into my doctor to get Avery's first growth ultrasound, and they did the ultrasound, and afterward they had realized that she was only in the 2nd percentile when she was supposed to be in the 10th percentile. She was really low in weight. That just means that she wasn't growing right and she was way too tiny. My doctor came in, she told me about it, and she sent me to the hospital. Originally, when she sent me to the hospital, she told me that I was probably going to be in there for the next 3 months of my pregnancy. So I was prepared to be in there for a while. I got to the hospital and they gave me some steroids for Avery to help her, and they took some more tests. They did what's called a Doppler, which is when they do an ultrasound and they check the umbilical cord to see if the blood is flowing right, if she's getting all the nutrients that she needs. Originally they told me that the blood was reversed, which means that it would go to Avery and at times it would stop and go back into the placenta, so she wasn't getting all the nutrients that she needed. And they did another growth ultrasound to see what percentile she was in. They ended up finding out that she was in the 9th percentile, not the 2nd. So it was a pretty confusing situation. I didn't know what was really going on because I was being told 2 different stories. But so she was in the 9th percentile, and they said that she was still too small for her age. But they gave me some steroids. They had me stay overnight. They gave me more steroids the next day, and then they sent me home and told me just to keep an eye out, just to make sure just that she was okay, just to look out for certain things and to eat more and to eat differently. My entire first trimester of my pregnancy, I was extremely nauseous 24/7, and if I wasn't nauseous, I was feeling really dizzy all the time. I just didn't have an appetite at all. My 2nd trimester of my pregnancy, I started to eat more, but I still wasn't eating enough. So I wasn't gaining any weight. My entire pregnancy, I probably gained about 10 pounds maybe. I didn't gain much weight during my pregnancy, which caused her to be tiny because she wasn't getting enough nutrients and there wasn't enough space in there for her to grow as much as she needed to. And they sent me to what's called the perinatal associates, which is when I went every single week, 2 times a week. On Tuesdays, I got what is called a non-stress test, which is when they attach little things to your belly to listen to Avery's heartbeat and to record. It records on a piece of paper her movements, her heartbeat, and her breathing. And so that was to make sure that she was breathing correctly, that her heart was beating good, and that she was moving around. Every Friday they did what is called a Doppler again, which is when they check the blood flow and the umbilical cord and all the nutrients and stuff. And every other Friday they did a growth ultrasound to make sure that she was growing correctly. Towards the end of my pregnancy, they did a growth ultrasound. It was her very last growth ultrasound, and they told me that She was doing really good. She was growing at a good pace. She was growing pretty good. She still wasn't as big as she needed to be, but she was growing really good for being tiny. They still decided to induce me. My doctor decided that it would probably be best for her to be out earlier, just in case she had to be in the NICU. Just in case anything went wrong, it was probably best for her to be out early and for me to be induced. Well, hello there. Somebody wanted to join us. I got induced on the 20th. Now I'm going to be getting into my labor and delivery story. I had an all-natural labor. It was a vaginal delivery, not a C-section or anything like that. I went in, they had me hooked up to Dopplers again to listen to her heartbeat. I just got to listen to her heartbeat the entire time that I was in there. They started out with giving me some Pitocin, which is supposed to speed up the inducement. They gave me another pill. I don't remember what it's called, but it's a little pill that they put up there and it's supposed to help with the inducement as well. And they gave me some stuff to help me sleep. While I was in there, I started feeling really nauseous, so they gave me some Zofran, which is some nausea medicine. They had me hooked up on a bunch of drugs just to help me with the inducement and to help me sleep and feel better. After they gave me the Pitocin, it took a while. It wasn't kicking in like it needed to. They put up, it's kind of like a balloon. They put it up there and it was supposed to expand my cervix to make it easier for her to come out. I was only 4 centimeters dilated after using that, so it didn't help as much as it needed to. After they did that, I was 4 centimeters dilated for the rest of the time. My cervix would not expand like it needed to. They would come in every 30 minutes to check me to see if my cervix was expanding, and it just wasn't expanding like it needed to. Eventually, they came in and they broke my water for me. That's what we were waiting for, was to break my water. The entire time I had the balloon in there, I was having really, really bad contractions. I was in so much pain. About 15 minutes before they broke my water, they came in to give me an epidural. An epidural is where they give you a shot in your back and it's supposed to numb the lower part of your body from like your stomach down. After they did that, I did not feel a thing. So they came in and broke my water. I was only 4 centimeters dilated when they broke my water. Within 30 minutes, I was completely dilated and she was crowning. Are you gonna fuss? Are you gonna fuss? After the 30 minutes, I was 10 centimeters dilated. My nurse had just left the room, and about 5 minutes later, I felt extreme pressure. It just felt like a lot of pressure. There wasn't any pain, but it just felt like a lot of pressure down there. Like I knew that she was coming, that I needed to push. That's all I could feel, was that I needed to push. I called my nurse in there and she checked me and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're crowning." So she was like, "Well, we have to wait for the doctor to get in here." It took the doctor 15 minutes to get in there. So I was sitting there for 15 minutes having to push and they wouldn't let me push. It was just terrible. The entire time that I was waiting to push, I was in a really bad mood. So every time anybody would talk to me or every time anybody would ask me a question or anything like that, I completely flipped out. I would yell at them and get mad, and it was just because I was under so much pressure. I mean, there was like, it made me so mad that I wasn't allowed to push. So the doctor came in and she checked my cervix to see and she realized that I was crowning, so she eventually told me to push. I was pushing for about maybe 10 minutes. I pushed 3 times and Avery was out. After she came out, she weighed 5 pounds 5 ounces and she was 21 inches long. She was really tiny. She wasn't a big baby at all. She still isn't a big baby. After she came out, I had to get stitches and they had to give me stuff to help with my blood supply. I lost a lot of blood after having her, to the point where I couldn't even stand up. If I stood up, I would get really dizzy. My nurse came in, she tried to get me to go to the bathroom, and I walked to the bathroom and I couldn't get up. I couldn't stand up. I almost passed out. So she had me lay back down. They gave me some stuff to help with my iron. And after that, they took me up to recovery. I was in recovery for 2 days. My iron was still low, and Avery's blood sugar was really low. They started her on Similac Pro Advance, and it just wasn't working for her. Her blood sugar was still really low, so we had to start her on Similac Sensitive. I tried breastfeeding her, but she would not latch, so I wasn't able to breastfeed her. Without being able to breastfeed her, we instantly started her on formula. She was on Similac Sensitive and still is on that to this day. She was really tiny. She did really good the two nights that we were in the hospital. She did really good. So Avery was born on Tuesday the 21st at 8:35 in the morning. 2 days later, the 23rd, which was a Thursday, we got to go home around 11 o'clock. Overall, my pregnancy was pretty rough. It was pretty stressful, having to be at the doctor's 2 times a week, having to do all those tests and get a bunch of shots and vaccines and all of that. My labor and delivery was pretty easy. I'm so happy to have such a beautiful little girl. I'm so glad that she turned out to be okay, and we are all very happy to have her here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please put a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and follow me on my social media. It'll be right down below in the description. I'm going to be doing a Q&A soon, so comment some questions down below and I'll get them answered in my Q&A video that I will be doing soon. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.